Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. It seems as though Hendrick Motorsports' NASCAR team is going to dominate this week's news cycle. Today it was announced the hotly anticipated driver of the number 48 Chevrolet for Ally Bank and Hendrick Motorsports, and that is that Alex Bowman will be moving from the 88 on the Hendrick Motorsports team to the famous number 48. A bit of a surprise to some people who expected maybe another driver to be in that seat, but we'll be talking about that particular driver here in just a few minutes and why this move certainly does not eliminate a chance of a Kyle Larson move to Hendrick Motorsports. Jimmie Johnson, the former driver of the 48, or I guess soon to be former driver of the 48, moving to IndyCar next year, called Bowman a blue-collar driver similar to him and endorsed the move wholeheartedly. And I guess now's the time to talk about Kyle Larson, because it certainly seems like all signs are pointing to an announcement of not only reinstatement for next year in NASCAR, but an announcement that he will be headed to Hendrick Motorsports. Well, here's a detail that I probably should have included in yesterday's video, but it's good enough to include here. And it involves Pro Sport Management, which is the management team that takes care and represents Kyle Larson. They also represent Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace. Hint, hint, guess how that kind of blockbuster deal with Michael Jordan was able to take place. But more importantly, on the Kyle Larson side of things, Pro Sport Management also represents Chase Elliott, Hendrick Motorsports' golden boy. There's a potential, and I think it's a very high potential, that Pro Sport Management will be able to ink both of the major deals in this NASCAR silly season. We'll have to wait and see, but it just makes too much sense with these drivers that are represented by the same company linking up on the same teams. It's too good to be true. But I think first we should talk about Alex Bowman in a little more depth. And certainly this move, again, makes an awful lot of sense, especially when you take into account Ally Bank. And I've heard quite a few rumors, I'm sure maybe you have as well, that Ally Bank really, really wanted a clean-cut driver in the mold of Jimmie Johnson, at least from a personal, professional standpoint, to represent their brand. So when you looked at the potential of a Kyle Larson, for example, going into specifically the Ally Bank-sponsored number 48, that was not going to work because Ally Bank was probably going to say no. They needed to have drivers that don't have an N-word drop within the last year hanging over their heads, and probably ever. And quite honestly, I don't blame them. In fact, this move that Hendrick Motorsports has made is really quite brilliant. As we know, and we're going to talk about this quite a bit more in this video, the number 88 car, the former Dale Jr. car that Alex Bowman took over, as soon as really Junior had his concussion, and he was really the guy that they tapped once they got over the Jeff Gordon comeback phase for a couple of races. He was really the guy that took over that car and really did a bang-up job, and that's really why he ended up getting that ride. But as we've seen in the last few years, the sponsorship dollars have really dried up post-Dale Jr. at that number 88 car. With Jimmie Johnson's help, they were able to bring in Ally Bank to fill the massive gap that Lowe's left in the Hendrick Motorsports camp, and it seems like Ally is really quite pleased with their NASCAR endeavors and clearly want to continue post Jimmie Johnson. Enter Alex Bowman, a driver who's been driving a car that's been largely unsponsored this year. The fact that there's that opening there, a sponsorship that will be able to help secure Bowman's future and at the same time open up a space at Hendrick Motorsports, it makes way, way too much sense. Let's hit the elephant in the room, Kyle Larson. And like I just talked about, the big major key here is that you've got a largely unsponsored number 88 car. And I know some people will say, well, there's always logos on that car. Yeah, anytime you see Chevy parts, pretty much across motorsports, you'll see it a lot too in the Ford camp with Ford Performance, or Toyota often will have TRD on some cars. That essentially means that the car is either unsponsored or lacks a primary sponsor. We've seen that a lot this year with Bowman's car, a lot of Chevy-related sponsors. Who is the perfect driver to represent a car that largely is without sponsorship at this current point in time? Because I certainly do not think that Hendrick Motorsports is going to allow that car to go away. I think they're going to keep that charter almost certainly, and why wouldn't you? Especially when a driver like Kyle Larson is on the driver market. Clearly wants back in, clearly has the same representation as your biggest driver, and also a couple of other drivers that are making big-time waves in the NASCAR realm. And by the way, I talked about that Bubba Wallace endorsement yesterday. You don't think the fact that he's represented by the same agency didn't factor into that a little bit? So certainly Bubba Wallace, the only black driver in the NASCAR Cup Series right now, is going to be on Kyle Larson's side in terms of defending him and defending his record and defending the improvements that he has made to his life post-N-word. He's got all of that in his corner. You can use, this is just such a great opportunity, and it really is brilliant by Hendrick Motorsports. Rick Ware. Yeah, Rick Ware's buying Hendrick Motorsports. Rick Hendrick to orchestrate this, because you can get Kyle Larson in for a year at least. You can have him do this whole redemption arc in a largely unsponsored car. He'll probably win a couple of races. I guarantee he'll win a couple of races. If he's actually in the Hendrick Motorsports car next year, he will win it. Dirt Bristol. Come on. Let's just look at facts here and say, yeah, probably going to win Dirt Bristol. You can have this huge redemption arc year, and I think it will be endorsed by Chevy. I've already made that prediction in a couple of videos ago. The fact that I think Chevy will bring him back into their fold. They'll embrace him and the changes that he's made. And by 2022, I think Hendrick is going to be looking at this situation going, will we be able to, or hopefully they will be able to sell a primary sponsorship on the number 88 car, or whatever it becomes. I know people are saying, well, it might be the 5, it might be the 25. I know Rick Hendrick apparently has an affinity for the number 5 and the number 25, so we may see a different number. I know some people have thrown out Larson's dirt number 57 as a possibility. Ultimately, car numbers are meaningless outside of a marketing standpoint. It's about the equipment that you're in. And I think, almost certainly it's going to get announced this week, if it's going to get announced at all, I think, with Kyle Larson going to Hendrick Motorsports, especially now that you've got that huge looming question mark of the 48 out of the way, especially with the Ally Bank connection. They're going to get their exposure pre-bombshell with Larson. Again, this totally works out for all parties involved. It's going to secure Bowman. It's almost certainly going to secure Larson. It's almost certainly going to secure Ally Bank and make them comfortable. Chevrolet probably going to make them comfortable. All of the parties seem to be lining up. All the stars seem to be aligning, and we're just going to have to wait for the official announcement. What do you think down in the comments section below? Am I completely blowing smoke? Do you think there's some validity to what I'm saying? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Subscribe for more motorsports commentary, and I will see you in the next video.